Now, my light might be a little bit weird tonight because it is night, so there is no light at all except for the light that I've got over me, which seems to be casting quite a shadow. If I turn this light on, it kind of brightens things up, but it may be a little bit too much. But I'll try it with the light on and see how it goes. But last week we did the eye, which is the first part of the face cane, and I was letting it rest because we needed to let it rest before we reduced it. So now I'm ready to reduce it, and here is the eye so far, and you can see like next to my hand, it's small, but it's still, you know, as wide as my finger, so it's still a pretty good size. So let's just try to reduce this a little bit by just pressing it on the sides. And the reason I let it rest is because the inside of the clay was going to be much colder than the outside layer of clay, just from when I was putting it together and handling it. And when your clay is a different temperature on the inside than it is on the outside, then when you try to reduce it, the outside layer will reduce, but the inside layer stays pretty much where it is, and that causes all kinds of issues when you're trying to you know, reduce a cane or anything, because you want to maintain the integrity of the cane. You don't want the inside being totally different from the outside. So I'm going to attempt to reduce this, and I apologize for doing it on camera, but I want to make sure that you see what we're doing. And this is almost making this round. It's not quite round, but it is. Let me just cover that up. It's more of a oblong right now. Right, and then after I reduce a little bit, then I will pinch the edges to get the pinch, you know, the sharpness back on either side. So let me just press on this, and I will pull it just very slightly because you don't want to break the clay. And like I explained last week, or if you didn't see last week's, it's pretty chilly here in my craft room right now, and so the clay is taking longer to warm up, which means that some of this, like this black, seems to want to crack a little bit instead of stretch, and it just means I need to warm it up a little bit more. But it doesn't, I know it doesn't appear like much is happening, but this is probably at least an inch longer than it was when I started. And you don't want to take your eye down too small. The picture that I drew last week is not the size that we're going to make the cane. You can do that. You can make a drawing of the size that you want, but I was doing it mainly just to look at the what is the word I'm looking for? You know, just to make sure that everything is placed where it needs to go. And it may look similar to that, but it'll probably be much larger just because I don't know how small I'm going to be able to get this eye without totally messing it up. But I'm just pinching and, you know, stretching a little bit, and because the clay is, you know, cooler, I'm doing it a little bit slower, but at the same time it's getting much longer, so you can see it getting longer. But see the little cracks right here? That's what I'm trying to avoid, so I'm pressing those cracks back together so that it doesn't interrupt the cane. But I'm going to be cutting it in half right about there, so it may not make that big a difference. But this is probably about twice as long as it was, and the clay is moving now. You can see I can pull it, and except for those two little cracks right there, everything else is moving really well. So I'm not going to go very small. This will probably be a larger cane than what I was wanting, but at the same time, I don't want to go too small to make it too difficult for you to do yourself. But you see, after a while, this warmed up and it started to move. And let me just slice it in the middle. And there's my two eyes. I may have to flatten this out, and I will. I'll take this and I'll flatten this out a little bit. I'll pinch these ends just to get it more into an eye shape, because reducing it kind of rounded it a little, but I'll pinch this a little bit to get it back into shape. And that makes it much more like an eye. And one of my subscribers who is in Spain, Samara, if that's how you say your name, I apologize if I messed it up. She's Crafty Samarita on Facebook, but she sent me some keychains when she watched my tutorial on the sea turtles, making the sea turtles. I mentioned that I wanted to make key rings to donate to the Sea Turtle Hospital, and she said she wanted to help me, and she ordered some key rings and had them sent to me here in the United States, and I just think that was so sweet. So thank you very much, Samara. That was a very nice thing to do. And once I get through the holidays and get some of these videos behind me, then maybe I'll be able to get back to doing my turtles. Right now I have a order for 75 turtles for a craft or an art gallery that wants to put my turtles in there, and the artist that owns the gallery, anything that she sells in her store that is turtle related, she gives all the profits to the Turtle Hospital at the end of the year. But she's going to buy 75 turtles from me. And the only thing she asked is that I put them on a magnet, because she said magnets really sell well for her. But these are my two eyes, and we will mess with them a little bit more in a little while in a future video. But now these are pretty much reduced, and I can use the eyes to kind of judge where I need the size that I need. Now the next thing we're going to do is the mouth. And the mouth, depending on what kind of cane you want, you can do a male cane. It could be a man. You could do a woman, a young girl. But you need to determine what yours is going to be. Now, I feel like that I want mine to be a woman. And I don't really want her to be a painted lady, but I want her to have colorful lips. So, what I chose is this, what is it called? Alizarin, I don't know how to pronounce that, crimson, which is a primo color. And then this is blush. You could also take this dark red and add some white to it to use for your lighter color. You could use the pink and add some white, do the blush and white, if you just want pale lips, like whatever. So, but I decided I wanted the dark lips with the pink, and we need to do a Skinner blend. And I'm going to run this through a couple of times on camera, and then I will turn the camera off just to give you an idea of what I'm going to do. And since I don't need huge lips, I'm doing a very small Skinner blend. And I'm going to be putting my magnet. Remember I showed you this before on another video. I have some magnets. They are bar magnets and they're pretty strong. And what I did is I wrapped them in clay, and then I put this is pretty thick clay right here, but I put it against the roller of my pasta machine. I guess your acrylic rod would also work. And made this little circle, and then when I want something to be narrower than my pasta machine, I just slide this, just sit it on top of my roller. The magnet sticks to the roller and it narrows the space that I'm going to have for the Skinner blend. So I'm going to do that here. See, I have another one. This is just one of those retro canes. And I'm going to make a pretty skinny Skinner blend, if that makes any sense. Well, maybe I'll just use one, and we'll see how that works. But I'm going to make a skinny Skinner. That's hard to say. A skinny Skinner blend, and I'm going to. This is 2 thicknesses of the blush and the crimson, and I've folded, I folded one layer over and made a triangle, made right triangles. I trimmed off a little bit here because I want there to be blush on one end, and I've got the dark crimson here, so because I want there to be dark on this side, and I'm going to blend this, and I'm going to start rolling it through on the number 1 setting, which is my thickest. And see, because it was a double thickness, it extended here. And when you make a Skinner blend, you always fold the same color. See, those are the blush, and this is the crimson. Always fold the same color on the same color, and then be sure you put your fold into the pasta machine. So it's always going to go through in this direction. So let me do that again. And I'm going to fold it again, and I'm keeping solid pink on this side and dark red on this side, and I'm going to go through one more time on camera. Now I did the first 3 on the thickest setting of my pasta machine. The first 3 runs through. But now what I'm going to do, now that this is all together, I don't have to worry about the colors separating or anything. Everything is pressed together. I'm going to reduce the size of the thickness from a number 1 to a number 3. And I'll do that one time just so you can see the difference. See how much longer it is? But it's also thinner, and this will help to blend this quicker. If you go down to a thinner setting, you can blend it quicker. Same thing if you're if you're conditioning clay. Once you get it to where it doesn't crumble or doesn't come apart, then lower the thickness of your pasta machine and run it through, and it will condition much faster. So I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'm going to go ahead and run my blend, and then I'll be back. Okay, this probably could be blended a little bit more, but I think this will work fine for our purposes. Now what I normally do, I'm going to need to make a Skinner blend plug, and what I normally do is fold this into thirds, but because this is such a small Skinner blend, I'm only going to fold it in half. And I'm going to run this through the pasta machine. This is still rolled out to a number 3. So I'm going to roll this, put the dark end in first to roll this through and make it a little bit longer this way. See how that lengthened it that way? And now I'm going to take it down to a number 5. which will take it down even longer. See how long and skinny that is, but I'm going to want it a little bit thinner, so I'm going to go down to a number 7 this time. Now you can stop at a number 5 if you like. The only difference is going to be when it's rolled up into the plug. The thicker this sheet is, the more you'll see the little circles of color change. And I just don't want a whole lot of that. So let me run it through at a number 7. And this is very thin right now for me. And rather than cut this pink off, I'm just going to fold it. I don't think you can see that, but I just folded this because I want the light pink in the middle. And then I just did that just to give me a little bit more clay to work with when I start my roll. And you notice I'm just taking this, and I know it's down at the bottom of your screen, but if you could just see what I'm doing there, I'm rolling this into a little snake here at the bottom, and I'm trying to be real careful not to include any air. And once you get this started, you can take an acrylic block and start rolling. And again, just be sure you're not getting any air in here. But just slow and steady. Isn't that what the tortoise said? Slow and steady wins the race. And this is going to give us a plug that's light in the middle and dark on the outside. And let me press these ends in so they don't make a mess here. And just keep rolling until it's rolled up. And here, I think I'll just finish it with my fingers. Using the acrylic block, sometimes when you roll with your fingers like this, you end up putting little grooves in it. I'm not worried about that right now because I don't feel that I wasn't putting enough pressure on it. But sometimes if you're working with a really warm clay, just pressing with your fingers like that can cause little indentations. So that's why I like to use the acrylic block. And let me show you this. And see, this is what we've got. And see how it's the lighter color in the center and the darker color around the edges. And I saved some of the darker color. And I'm going to take this little plug that I cut off. I'm going to mix that in too. And I'm going to mix some black to make this a little bit darker. And I didn't recondition this. Let me just run this through. Let's see. I'm not sure what that rolled through on. Let me go back to a number 3. And then down to a number 5. And I'm going to, let's see, I think what I'll do is I'm going to cut off the ends to give me a straight edge. And I don't know which way I'll go with it yet, so I'll do that much. And I'll mix this color with this much black. Maybe I don't need that much black. What you want to do is just make a darker color to put an outline around your lips. And I'm going to do this. Just mix it And black is very highly pigmented anyway, so you don't want to do too much. But let me go ahead and mix this. I'm going to use the pasta machine, and I'll be right back. Okay, now you can see that this is darker than the crimson, but it's lighter than the black. So this is just a really nice, sort of a black cherry color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this cane in this color. And let's see, I think I'll do it this way. So let me do a straight edge. Remember, I like to start with a straight edge. And let me cut this off. I didn't do this side. But I'm just going to roll it till it meets. And then cut on the line, the mark that it makes. There we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to reduce this. And since it's just been rolled and done the Skinner blend and everything, it's going to be pretty easy to reduce. So what we're going to do is break this down maybe twice as long as it was. And I will probably just cut these ends off. And that looks like half. And what I'm going to do is put these two together. And press them together. Just take your time. You don't want to mess it up. And I think I'm going to pinch the sides together now, because you don't want a round mouth. You want a, hopefully, a smiley mouth. You could make an angry mouth. I'm going to try to make mine smiley. And see, I have this done now. And what I'm going to do, since this one is the smaller one, and your upper lip is usually smaller than the lower lip, I'm going to take a knitting needle and I'm going to press down, make a good little dent, because you know you want your lip to have your little dent. And before I try to press this together, I'm going to take a piece of the flesh color. Remember, we mixed up this flesh color. And just make the flesh color about the same size as your knitting needle. And then press it down in that little groove. And that will keep it there. So you don't have to worry about it. And I'm just going to cut off a piece of this because, well, it could be a little bit smaller, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half. Now it's going to look a little funny right now with that little thing there, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the flesh color. And remember, I said to make sure you do enough. I'll go ahead and use this too, so that you can have enough of your color to do the whole face. And I'm going to wrap the mouth in this. And I'm going to have this on a number 3, I believe. I'm sorry, I forgot this has been sitting for a week and it's cool in here, so I'm going to recondition this before I wrap this mouth. I'll be right back. Okay, I shouldn't have said condition this. I just needed to warm this up a little bit because it had been sitting for a week. So let me start with 2 straight sides. And then I will start on this end of the mouth. On the straight side. And I will just wrap till it goes around. But wrapping the mouth in the flesh color helps to, first of all, preserve the shape of the mouth, but it also makes it easier when you're ready to put it all together. If everything is wrapped in the flesh color, which I did not do that here, I probably should have, but I don't think that'll be a problem. But let me see how this little, see how that came out. Right now it looks round, but by the time you reduce it a little bit and play with it and get it to the right size, it's going to look fine. So now we've got a mouth and we have 2 eyes. And they look like they're probably in pretty good proportion. The only other thing I could do right now without making this getting too complicated, I could do the nose, but I don't know. Let me just do this. All right, we've done the mouth. We did the eyes last week. We did the mouth this week. Next week I will finish it up. I will do the nose and then we will fill in the rest of the face. And then after that we'll add hair. So we've got 2 more weeks. Next week is the nose and then packing the face, and then we will put it all together with hair and make a face cane. So I hope you enjoyed this. I know I do. I enjoy playing with clay all the time, but I enjoy playing with faces because there's so much you can do with faces. And I will see you next week. In the meantime, shop at TupeloDesignsLLC for all of your crafting needs. Shipping is always free in the continental United States, and international shipping is discounted, and it's very quick. A lot of times if you'll order one morning, it'll be delivered on your doorstep the next morning. That's how fast they ship. And it's free. So hope you enjoyed this. Come back next week and we will finish the face part, and then we'll start adding hair and things so we can see the different ways we can use this face cane. So I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great week. Bye-bye.